It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kids TV in the house like kitchen sinks. Now, before I get into today's story, if you will, understand that I'm the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better. Meaning that anytime I bring you a story, it's guaranteed to be 30 minutes or better. So if you on your way to work, at work, you don't feel like being there, co-workers getting on your nerves, talking your head off. You're on your way home from work, you need to laugh, you need to cry. Perhaps you're trying to lay down and take a nap, or you're trying to go to sleep at night, depending on whatever time you're listening to or viewing this video. Or you're just in the mood for a good old-fashioned true, keyword being true, penitentiary/life story/life experience. This is the channel for you. If you prefer your 8 to 12 to 15-minute videos, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But at Real Kids TV, it's 30 minutes or better. So with all that being said, with all that being wrapped up into one big old nut shell, that is, there is a message. A couple things that I want to touch upon before I get into the actual video. So if you're in a rush, again, this is just not the channel for you. You know what I mean? Jump in the comment section. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Let me know what city and state, that you're chiming in from. And if you're rocking with Real Kids, man. I definitely appreciate that. Respectfully. Second thing I want to address before actually getting to the story is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not sure exactly what time you all will actually have an opportunity to view this video, because there is a process when you go through the uploading process. So I'm doing this video now, and it's currently 3:42 p.m. It may be 6:42, 6:45 before the video actually uploads. And I know most people will be watching the Super Bowl, so I don't know. But nevertheless, never go against Patrick Mahomes. That's just what I found, man. It doesn't matter. I like Philly. I think Philly's tough. They're gonna be very difficult to beat. But when it's all said and done, when you walk that aisle 17 times, Tony Schiavone, it comes down to one thing, and one thing only. And if you listen to me, Schiavone, you'd be wearing this $2,400 custom-made sports jacket opposed to the $150 sports jacket that you got off the rack at your local department store. See, Schiavone, when you roll with the likes of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, Taylor Blanchett, the total package, Lex Luger, brother, woo! You're styling and you're profiling. The alligator boots, brother. The Rolex, watch the pinky rings, the Jets, the diamond cufflinks, woo! That's how you become the 17-time heavyweight champion, the greatest sport in the world. You ever thought about something? For your wrestling fans, Ric Flair was a 17-time heavyweight champion. That means he lost 17 times. Anybody ever think about that? Y'all gotta excuse my outburst. Sometimes I burst into movie scenes or roles, or I go through my my wrestling. I'm sorry, man. I'm working on that, man. Alligator boots. But now let's get back to the subject at hand. Let's get back on track. I told you it's not going to be a short video. This is not going to be one of those things to where I'm getting directly to the story. I'm not. Shout out to everybody that's hustling. Everybody, truck drivers dropping them loads, the barbers, the cooks, the beauticians, the electricians, the mechanics, the doctors, the healthcare workers, the people flipping them burgers, working the fries, people cleaning the toilets, buffing the floors, high speed buffer, low speed buffing the floors. It's everybody that's doing whatever they need to do to make $1. Whatever they need, the police, the good police officers, the fire department, the ambulance, just emergency, just everybody, man. I want to send a major shout out to everybody, man. You know what I mean? Everybody that rocks with Real Kins, man. You know, it's nothing but a blessing to jump on here and see the overwhelming support that I get. And thank you all, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to my dog James McIlvain, man, one of my biggest supporters, man. You know, shout out to you, James, man. I see you, man. Salute to you and salute to your daughter, brother. But with all that being said, I have something that's kind of perturbing me. It's something that's just really, I don't know, it's just weighing on my mind. It's weighing on my mind. I don't want to make it a racist thing. You know, people really get offended when you talk about race. I don't know why, but they do. Doesn't make a difference, because if I want to talk about, you know, a racial issue, then I'm going to talk about a racial issue. People act as though racial problems do not exist. And those are just the individuals that don't have to go through those problems. So in their mind, they're thinking, no, we're all equal. No, in their minds, they're thinking, no, we're no better than you. You're no better than us. But you have to be in one's shoes to actually understand and experience some of the things that just different ethnicities go through. I don't necessarily want to make this a racial situation, if you will. I think it's more of a if you have money and if you don't. So it's a poor versus having money sort of scenario. I'm going to take this thing all the way back to 2010. You got an individual. Now, there's two stories, but the two stories will correlate and coincide. At the end of the video, you'll see exactly what I'm speaking of. Kick your feet up, kick back, rock with me, and relax. You know what I mean? You got an individual. I may drop the link in the comment section, and I may not. You know what I mean? Sometimes I forget. I'm a human being. I forget sometimes. You got an individual named Glenn Donnie. GLEN DONEGHY. You can look it up. Lexington, Kentucky. Actually, the actual date is April the 29th, 2010. According to the police, he's driving a red, I want to say it was a red SUV. I don't even remember what type of SUV. I don't know if it was a Tahoe, a Suburban. I don't remember the exact, but he was driving a red SUV, according to the police. He turns the corner on a one-way. When he turns the corner on a one-way, it's a very, very unlit street. Very, very dark. You got an officer. Now, at the time, mind you, at the time, even if this did happen the way that they, who is they, but even if it did happen the way that they said that it happened, you can't guarantee that Glenn seen that this officer was in the position in which he was in. You got an officer, Brian Derman. Much respect to him and his family. Rest in peace to Officer Brian Derman. He was responding to a noise complaint. It was a vehicle, and it was a loud noise, coming from the vehicle. The vehicle was playing the music too loud. He responded to that. He gets out of his vehicle. He goes up to the vehicle. He's talking to the individual, whatever, but he's on the passenger side. He's talking to the passenger, on the passenger side or what have you, and everything's cool. The officer was cool. There was no discrepancies. There was no, problems, anything like that. It was just, kind of need you all to turn your music down. As he's talking to this individual, this red SUV comes by, turning the corner, and it was a loud thumping noise. Boom. And I'm trying to be as sensitive and compassionate as I can possibly be, because I don't know if the family is going to see this video. And you all know that I have a disdain for police. Just the bad ones. Loud noise. Boom. The individual that was driving the vehicle that the officer had, was questioning, he said that the officer just vanished, disappeared. Like literally he heard a noise and he didn't see the officer anymore. Only to later realize that that officer had been hit. And I guess that when he got hit, he was on top of the hood. And eventually, he fell off the hood. And the vehicle continued to, the vehicle never stopped. It kept going. 911 was called. Good patrons, good citizens. They called 911. They come to the scene. When they get to the scene, it was a critical scene. It was a situation where it's not as though the officer had just been hit and he, had a broken leg or, some bruised ribs, fractures or anything. No. This was a very, very serious situation. Not to say that wouldn't be serious, but this was like life or death. They take him to the University of Kentucky Hospital, to where he later passes away. This officer was young. I don't know the exact age, but he was a young officer. He had been with he had been on the police force, the police station, for 3 years. Remember, this is 2010. They get a description of the vehicle. That now the whole it's a manhunt for this vehicle. Had a couple people that had called the police and said, yeah, I seen this vehicle, and basically the citizens were stepping forward. The police tracked down a location. Remember, 2010 technology was technology, but it wasn't technology of 2025. Go to an apartment complex. They track the vehicle down. They determine who the vehicle belonged to. Knocking on the door. Glenn Donnie won't answer the door. Won't come to the door. Banging on the door, but they got to get a search warrant. You can't just kick a door in. No, you got to do things the proper way. They get a search warrant. They deploy the tear gas or whatever. He comes out coughing, and they get him. As they're attempting to get him, the police say that he has a knife and he's attempting to stab the police. Stab. Allegedly. He's fighting the police, resisting arrest. He comes out of the house, but he's trying to stab the police. But this is what's in their reports, man. Y'all rock with me. Take him to the police station. They're questioning him. What's going on? What is the issue? What is, you are in a lot of trouble. He was involved in a hit and run. Officer. Decorated officer. At the time, the officer, was still alive, fighting for his life. He's taken to jail. I want to say later on that night or the next day. And again, I'm trying to be very, very compassionate. I just don't know every single intricacy of the story. So he was either later on that night or the next day, the officer, he didn't make it. Murder. What they say in the movie Life looks like murder. Officer, but we didn't kill nobody. Now the booze was ours. But that man was dead when we found him. We didn't. You think he believes us, Ray? You think he believes us? Glenn's in the county jail, charged with murder. His court appearance, every officer in the city is there in support of their fellow brethren, Brian Dermott. The whole courtroom was packed and it was all blue. Obviously, Glenn doesn't have a chance. He's not going to get a bond. He'll get a bond, But it's not going to be, basically, essentially, he doesn't get a bond. $500,000 bond. Who can make that? How many of you all can make a $500,000 bond? Not talking about property. I'm talking about a straight 500 G's. Hell, let's just say the judge was being lenient that day and he gave you a 10% bond, reduced it to 10% for $50,000. How many of y'all could pay 50 G's to get out? Not too many, I would assume. Glenn's in the county jail. He gets an attorney, Kate Dunn. Kate Dunn, at the time, she was a legal aid. Kate Dunn was a very, very good legal aid attorney. Could have been in a private practice several years prior to this, but she just had a thing about, she sees how people, are consistently done in the legal system. So she never really went private. She did, but at this particular time, she hadn't gone private yet. Could have, but she didn't. She's representing Mr. Glenn Donnie. Police are saying one thing, but Mr. Donnie is saying something totally different. It was never really a denial of the situation. It was just that it didn't happen the way that they're saying that it happened. According to Mr. Donahue, it was his vehicle, but he wasn't even driving the vehicle. He was with a young lady. It was a white woman. They was doing their thing. She got high on the streets or whatever. Apparently he got high. Birds of a feather tend to flock together. And they were just going to do whatever they was doing. They turned the corner. They didn't see this officer. And they heard a loud noise. Boom. They didn't know exactly what it was, but they heard a loud noise. They both been, had drugs in the car as far as, getting high drugs. They wasn't selling kilos, anything like that. But they had drugs in the car. They didn't want to stop or whatever. It was only later on to where they understood and figured out from what they heard on the news and, the police and things of that nature that, wow, we actually hit someone. At the time, they didn't know. Allegedly. All of this is alleged. Mr. Donnie, man, I didn't do that. That wasn't what the scenario was. You got to understand, when you have a legal aid attorney, you're very, very limited. If you don't got no money, you very, 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 and you'll see later on in this story, you're very, very limited as far as what you can actually do. The evidence that you can actually present, as far as representing yourself, helping yourself, there's only so much that you can say because you don't got the money. If you don't got no money to bring in the experts, the expert doctors, the expert people that work the crime scenes, the expert witnesses, the experts. But the state has plenty of resources, so they can bring in all of these things. That's why a lot of times people end up pleading guilty. So it's like, oh man, the conviction rate is 98%. Yeah, because the average individual doesn't have the firepower and the resources to go against the state or the United States. If it's federal, a la P. Diddy, blow for blow. That's why I say P. Diddy's going to beat that case. Do I think P. Diddy needs to be punished? Yeah, you can't run around here hitting women. The fuck? The sex trafficking and the charges that they're charging him with, I just think that they went very, very overboard. RICO Act and all of these things. Just hit him with what he did. Make him do his time for what he did. But because you all went and did the most, I think that he's going to do it. He's going to beat it because he got a lot of money. Lawyers cost a lot of money. Experts cost a lot of money. Witnesses, all of that stuff that's going to benefit you costs a lot of money, but he got it. Still got a lot of bread. you worth 700-800 million, and your defense and everything costs you 150-200 million. That ain't nothing for your freedom. I believe P. Diddy's gonna beat this shit. But nevertheless, let's, stay on track. Glenn don't got no money. He got a court-appointed attorney, can't get out on bond. At one point, Glenn had some money. His mother worked at the fire department, and something had happened to where, unfortunately, she met her untimely demise in a fire, and they sued the fire department, and they got some money. So Glenn had some money at one point, but he didn't have it at this point. And what is money? When you think about it, it's all subjective. What is money? If I got 75,000, do I got some money? It ain't nothing. It's better than the majority of the, everybody else, but it's 75,000. You catch a case like this, let's just say Glenn has 75,000. Man, the people are gonna file a lawsuit against you so fast, and that money's gonna be put, it's gonna be frozen. Hell, your lawyer's gonna charge you 75,000. So what is money? Rock with me. Glenn maintains his innocence the entire time while attempting to show remorse. But on the flip side, the whole police department, Officer Brian Derman's family, everybody's against Glenn because of what they said. And again, no disrespect to Officer Brian Derman or his family. It was later determined that the white girl that Glenn was with was driving the vehicle. Speculated. So I used the wrong word. So it was later speculated the white girl was actually the one driving the vehicle. How do you know that, Kens? How do you know that? People, you got witnesses that say that they seen Mr., Glenn Donnie behind the wheel, 15, 20 minutes after the situation occurred. They did a DNA. See, Kate Dunn, she was at the top of her game. They did DNA on the steering wheel, whatever. Somehow, some way, it was her DNA on the steering wheel. They approached the white girl about the situation, and I'm referring to her as the white girl because I don't know her name. Well, she's not going to put herself in harm's way. But from what I understand, she tried to take up and be like, no, that's not what happened. I was driving the vehicle. All of this is speculation. None of this is what I'm saying is 100% accurate. So I want to make that, known. Seemed like she was riding for Glenn. No, I was driving the vehicle, but we didn't know that we hit anybody. We didn't. So they take her to trial. Go to trial. The state versus Glenn Donnie with a public defender and Kate Dunn. But Kate Dunn she's batty and rowdy. I represent. Where them killers at? Third Ward. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's batty. You don't know what batty means, look up Google Master P batty. Most people know, but if you don't know, now you know. I'm from a small hood, and it's all good. And Mr. Rogers ain't got shit up on my neighborhood. They go to trial. Once again, the whole courtroom is packed to capacity. You can't even get into the courtroom because it's all blue. Police officers everywhere in support of their fellow brethren, which they should be. Goes to deliberation, got the family, police officers, whatever, comes back guilty, but not guilty of murder, guilty of manslaughter. See, there's a distinct difference between the two. Hit him with hit and run and second degree assault and other charges. But in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the way that the sentencing, like it's It's weird the way that they can sentence you here. The jury recommended 30 years. But upon looking at, the judge did the right thing. And he said, Mr. Donnie, if I could give you 100 years, I would. But according to the guidelines, the most that I can give you for manslaughter is 20 years. So they charged him with murder, which would have carried a life sentence. But the jury didn't come back with a conviction for murder, but they came back with a conviction for manslaughter. So you didn't murder this man, but you manslaughtered this man. Don't understand. If you didn't find him guilty for murder, you shouldn't have found him guilty for manslaughter. Again, I speak respectfully. This officer, there were several complaints against him, and all of these things is documented. As Fleece Johnson would say, it's documented. There were several complaints against this officer as far as pulling people over. And then when he would pull you over, he would be like standing too far out into the road. So it's like, man, I almost hit this officer, man. He's supposed to be on the passenger side, and whatever that case may be, or several complaints. Again, it's all documented. Judge wanted to give him 100 years, like Ply says. Give a nigga 100 years if they could. But he couldn't, according to the law. Gave him 20. Gave him a 20-year sentence to where it was a regular 20-year sentence to where you do 20% of your time and you go up and see the parole board. 4 years. Hell, he's sitting in the county jail damn near 4 years, 3 years fighting the case. No bond, or no reasonable bond. They're heated. Police department, justice system, everybody's heated. Kate Dunn is outlawed. Nobody likes Kate Dunn now. They feel as though, even though this guy still got 20 years, you rocking with the criminals, man, over the justice system, over us. They didn't like Kate Dunn from that point on. Here it is. You got a white woman that's coming forward saying, I was the one that was driving the vehicle. He wasn't even driving, but yet they're not trying to hear that. No DNA or whatever on the steering wheel. Her DNA was on the steering wheel. There's never really no proof who was driving, but she stepped forward. But then she just disappeared out of the blue. Never heard from her again. Where did she go? 20-year sentence. The man ended up doing about 13, 14 years. Served every day, not every day of the sentence, because in Kentucky, you can get good time, take classes and things. But he did, 13, 14 years. And then he's out. He didn't have no money. Once again, rest in peace. Nothing but mad love and respect to Officer Brian Durman and his family. It was a tragedy. He had kids, had a wife, people that loved him. Been 15 years, literally. A couple months, it'll be 15 years exactly. Now I want to go to the flip side of where when you do have money. So you got no money opposed to when you do have money. Got this 18-year-old college student. This occurred back in, I want to say, 2018. Jacob Hale, Heil. All of this, you can look it up. I may pin it in the comments. I may not. It just depends on if I feel like going through tag, and getting the information and putting it up. You all can do your own research. I'm not a college professor. Look these things up if you think old Kens is not telling the truth. See, a lot of times, a lot of people, they like to watch other channels and booty bandit stories. And yeah, I tell booty bandit stories, but not that many. There's only so many booty bandits you're going to run across. Come on, Kens. This content creator already said this. They already told this story. Man, listen. Man, the world is what the world is. Can't reinvent the wheel. You're going to hear the same story a million times. I don't make up no stories. For what? If I made up stories, I'd probably be 100,000 strong right now. Let that make sense. Let that sink into you. Y'all rock with me, because this is not going to be a short video. Got this individual at the time that's 18 years old. Jacob Hill. University of Kentucky football game. Got a father, takes his two sons, his two kids to the game. After halftime, they become restless, and you know how kids are, they young. You got Jacob Hill, again, 18-year-old college student. He's turned. When I say he's turned, he been partying all night. Friday nights in Kentucky and Lexington, they got and I'm sure I'm positive, every college campus has a street or area to where people party. In Kentucky, what I keep saying Kentucky and Lexington, is State Street. If you go to the University of Kentucky, that's why I keep saying Kentucky. If you go to UK, State Street, man, white kids, sprinkle with a couple black kids, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't gonna be no dudes from the hood. It's damn near all white. State Street, man, is just literally a strip. Now, the strip is with restaurants on the left side, the right side, bars or whatever. It's a strip, but it's houses, fraternity houses. It's just, they get a lot of passes. They drink, set shit on fire, couches on fire when, you know, the basketball team wins, the football team gets a big win or whatever. They get a whole lot of passes. They're just white college students. I'm sorry, they're just white. They're just college students. Yeah, a whole lot of passes. Arson passes. Or if it was me, they gonna send a motherfucker to the penitentiary for 20 years for setting the couch on fire. But them out there just celebrating. Keeping it real, man. That's what it is. But they're college students, so I don't have no problem with that. I have zero problem with that whatsoever. They're college students, you know what I mean? Having fun, clean fun. Been going on for years. You got this individual that had turned up that Friday night, went to the football game that Saturday, still turning up, drinking or whatever. Again, you got the father that's, after halftime, taking his two kids. Come on, let's go. How kids can be, young kids. They're standing on the curb waiting for the traffic to, go past. I want you all to put yourself in this situation. If you got young kids, or even if you don't have kids or young kids, reflect back to when your kids were young. Busy intersection. You're gonna hold your kids' hands, both of them. Come on, y'all. No, get your motherfucking ass back here. Now, everybody don't handle their kids like that, but some do. No, and some, no. Come on back. However you handle your situation, you handle your situation. You're not gonna just be letting your 4-year-old son just run reckless at a busy intersection. You standing there. Again, put yourself in this situation. You standing there with your son, daughter. And you look up and the vehicle is just coming directly at you. And I've had this happen to me. I'm telling you. If I didn't have the wits, the street shit that the street mentality or the street instincts, I wouldn't even be telling you all this story now, because I'd be dead. Dead, man. Fucking dead. Vehicle coming at you. You got both of your kids with you. You trying to protect both of them. You trying to get both of them out of the way or whatever. You'll take a bullet for your kids. Look up, one of your kids is gone. You don't even see them. That fast, it flashes. Where's my son at? Where's my son? Where's my son at? You looking around, panicking, frantically. Where's my son? Hear people screaming. You hear cars. You hear the commotion, but you have a tunnel vision. Where is my son? Only to discover several feet up the road, your son has been struck by a vehicle. 4 years old, man. Y'all got to get. I'm a 3-time loser, man. Penitentiary, man. But I'm still a human being, man. Give me a minute. Give me a moment. 4 years old. You with your father, your brother, spending time on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Saturday afternoon. And your 4-year-old is struck by a vehicle, and you all were doing absolutely nothing wrong. Even if you were doing something wrong, how can you possibly have to face this sort of adversity, tragedy? 4-year-old. Let it be me, Lord. Why did it have to be my 4-year-old? Why couldn't it have been me? I would lay down and die for mine. Four-year-old Marco Shemwell. Shemwell. All of this, you can look it up, man. Marco, Marco. Take him to the children's hospital, to where he later passes. As a direct result of this individual, they came through speeding, flying by, whatever, and had no regards for anyone that was in the area. Quite sure that the individual that was driving the vehicle didn't do it on purpose, but nevertheless, it is what it is. 18-year-old Jacob Hill. Upon some sort of investigation, they decided to charge Mr. Jacob Hill with reckless homicide and DUI. Driving under the influence. Because he was under the age of 21, there's a no tolerance law in Kentucky. You're not supposed to be driving or drinking, period. Forget the exact blood level, but it was definitely over the allotted. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you shouldn't have been drinking, period. But they do still give you a little room. Okay, you're not supposed to be drinking, but if your blood level is 0.03 and less, then okay. But it was clearly over 0.03. They don't hit him with murder. They hit Glenn Donnie with murder. Just by the grace of God, on his end, he was convicted of manslaughter and still had to do 13 years, 14 years in the Kentucky Department of Corrections, the penitentiary. But this white, Glenn was black, just in case you all didn't know. Yeah, Glenn was a black dude. At the time, I think he was a 31-year-old, never had a criminal record, 5'11" black dude. Got this white kid, man. His parents had money, influence. University of Kentucky alum, they had went to school there. They had friends. They had people in position. They had, lawyers and prosecutors and judges, and they had friends. They had friends. I tell my daughter this all the time. She's in nursing school, literally nursing school, and I tell her she's so standoffish towards everybody, and I'm telling her, no, create those relationships, because you may need these relationships later on in life. Don't be standoffish, because you never know who you're going to need in life. You never know who you're going to need in life. So create, it's not about kissing tail, but it's all about creating those relationships. Life's about who you know. It's all about who you know. They can put you in position. They'll help put yourself in position, rather. You got to put yourself in, but you got to have somebody that's going to, not necessarily always, but, hey, man, I got a buddy, man, I got to, but you got to be ready when it's time to be ready. Jacob's parents, they were in position. Never got charged with murder, as I mentioned. Charged him with reckless homicide. Now, there's a distinct difference. Reckless homicide carries 1 to 5. You just killed, allegedly, unalived a 4-year-old child that was minding his business, standing on the corner. Put yourself in this situation. You standing there with your kids in the car, just boom, and you trying to save both of your kids, and one of your kids just disappears, and where's my child at? Where's my... Parents had money. Should have been charged with murder. And he was drunk. He was drunk. He was drunk. And was only facing 1 to 5. I fucking did some counterfeit and was facing fucking 10 to 20. Understand what I'm saying. I did fucking counterfeit money, counterfeit checks, counterfeit banking credit cards, whatever. None of it is right. I was wrong. I deserve to go to jail and prison, whatever, and do my time. I was facing fucking, matter of fact, I was facing a life sentence. Twice. This kid was driving drunk, hit a 4-year-old, unalived the 4-year-old, put several other people at risk, at danger, kept going, knew he was drunk, and was facing fucking 1 to 5. Y'all rock with me. You got money, you can prolong things. The case took like 3 years. Goes to trial. Again, he's facing 1 to 5, not murder. It's murder. Shout out to Irv Gotti, man. R.I.P. Irv Gotti, man. If you're not familiar with Irv Gotti, just Google him if you care to. Founder of motherfucking Murder Inc. Records. Discovered DMX. Helped discover Jay-Z, Ja Rule, Ashanti. Some of the biggest artists that you'll ever see in the world. It's murder. Respect. Shout out to Irv Gotti. They go to trial 3 years later. High-powered attorney. They done paid $250,000 for the attorney. But on the flip side, Glenn didn't have $250,000. Glenn went to trial with a court-appointed attorney. See where I'm going with it. Not about race. It's just about, well, it is about race, but it's also about if you got money and if you don't. Most blacks don't got no money. This motherfucker goes to trial and beats it. Not guilty. Reckless homicide. 1 to 5. Again, it was never facing a murder. Goes to trial and beats the whole motherfucking case. But the jury know we got to do the right thing. We're going to find him guilty of the DUI. But they never found him guilty of the reckless homicide, which should have been murder. You got behind the wheel. You're not even old enough to drink. You're drinking while you're driving. You hit this little kid. You charged Glenn Donnie with murder, even though they came back with a manslaughter conviction. You charged him with murder. Why don't you charge him with murder? Why don't you charge little Jacob with murder? 4-year-old kid, Marco Shimwell. Just wanted to be with his father and his sibling at the football game on a Saturday afternoon. No justice. Absolutely no justice whatsoever. And to add insult to injury, Judge Van Meter, at the time, this was the motherfucker that gave me my first time ever in prison. Judge Van Meter ran my shit wild. When I say ran it wild, meaning, okay, I pled guilty. In Kentucky, it's different. The sentencing is different. When I pled guilty to 2 counts, they dropped the rest of the counts. Give me 6 years on 1 count, 5 years on the other count. It's all white collar. I ain't never hurt nobody. I ain't never shot nobody. I ain't never stabbed nobody. I ain't none of these things. It was some white collar shit. I could have went to boot camp, man. Came home in 6, 7, 8 months. Been back with my daughter. Learned my lesson from, going to the penitentiary. This motherfucker Van Meter ran my shit wild consecutive, meaning do 6 and then do the 5 for a total of 11 years, opposed to him, he could have just gave me 6 and 5 and ran it in together for a total of 6 years, which is called concurrent. But if he doesn't do that and he runs the 6 and the 5 consecutive for 11 years, it's called wild. I ain't have no juvenile record. It was my first criminal case ever in life. It was white collar. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. Nobody got killed, Mike. And you run my shit wild for 11 years. Which, when he did that, it took me out of the, okay, I couldn't go to boot camp immediately like I thought I was going to be able to. Because it put me at 26 months to the parole board. To go to boot camp, you had to be 18 months or less to go to the parole board. By the time I got down to 18 months, they had shut boot camp down. I ended up doing 38 months on my first sentence ever. Never harmed a fly. But this motherfucker, Jacob Hale, at 18 years old, killed a kid, 4-year-old kid, and never did a day in jail. They found him guilty. Van Meter had the option, the responsibility. He could have still given him 12 months in the county jail. That's rough, 12 months in the county jail. You know what Van Meter's bitch ass gave him? A $500 fine, man. Y'all fucking rock with me, man. It's the realest motherfucking video I've ever told. Respectfully. They got this white kid that was 21, 18 at the time. A $500 fine, man. People, parents is millionaires, man. The fuck is a $500 fine? The way you got expelled from school, and that's a lot for a kid to have to compartmentalize or what. This dude's probably somewhere in a motherfucking accountant or a lawyer or engineer somewhere at this point. Foul hidden. People don't even know that he went through this, man. But in the meanwhile, Glenn Donnie can't even fucking get a decent job making $15 a motherfucking hour, man. It's just fucked up, man. This is the realest motherfucking video I've ever told. I don't care if I only get 200 views. I don't care if a motherfucker don't share my shit at all. This is the realest shit that I've ever in life told, man. Because this is how this shit really, really, truly works. And if you think that it don't, then you're oblivious. You're blind. Nobody making this shit up, man. I did what I did. People do what they do. We make choices and we make our bed and we have to lie. But we got a president that got felonies just like I got felonies. This motherfucker got passports. This motherfucker can be around guns. This motherfucker. But I can't even go rent a decent fucking apartment. Truest shit I ever spoke. I can't even go rent a fucking decent apartment. Because I got some felonies. White collar shit, man. Understand, man. Don't be so quick to judge people. You all that are in position of power, you own your business, you own your real estate or your houses, apartments, fourplexes, duplexes, whatever. Understand that, man. Shit happens, man. Don't make a person a bad person. Don't make you a bad person simply because this has transpired, in your life or whatever. Oftentimes people are overcharged anyway. It's a business locking people up. I'm not saying that certain people don't need to be locked up because they do. I needed to be locked up. I did wrong. Can't just be going out here stinging banks and counterfeiting. I did wrong. It's just the amount of time and the charges that they actually hit you with. It's just like, whoa. If you got a little money, you have a chance. But if you don't got no money, you don't have a chance, man. You don't got a chance whatsoever. That's why I cheer for P. Diddy. If you don't like it, fuck you. I'm not on here to try to make anybody. If you don't like it, fuck you. I hope P. Diddy beats that shit. Is he wrong for putting his hands on women? Absolutely. But when is enough, public humiliation? He's been in jail for several months. It's not like he hasn't, done any time for his transgression. Even if, give him 5 years. Cool. I'm cool with him getting 5 years. He's 55 years old. I'm cool with him getting 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever. You don't put your hands on women. But all the rest of this shit, if you don't like what I say, fuck you. There's a thing on my shit that says unsubscribe. It's not about P. Diddy. It's not about him being a celebrity. It's just about the justice system as far as how they do people. How they do you, man. You ain't got no bread. You're going to get fucked around, man. Realest shit I've ever, it's my realest video ever. I don't care about the views. This is my realest shit that I've ever spoken, spit. Free P. Diddy. If you don't like what I say, fuck you. Never heard another word about Jacob Hale. Wonder where he's at. Just magically disappeared. Y'all Google Shane Ragland, University of Kentucky student. Shane Ragland. Another situation. His pops at the time, early 2000s, late 90s, was worth 30, 40 million. Outright shot a motherfucker, man. Over some fraternity shit. Some frat over a woman. Where's he at? He went to the pen for a minute. But his people had so much money, the shit got overturned. The conviction got overturned, and he's not in the pen now. He got his wig split in the pen, though. They split that motherfucker's wig in the pen, man. I think I'm lying, man. Every story that I tell you, man, is 100% legit. Google Shane Ragland. University of Kentucky football player. Kills University of Kentucky football player, allegedly. Google that shit. I don't tell fake stories on my shit, man. Motherfuckers with money get away with murder. In the meanwhile, the motherfuckers that ain't committed murder do the most time and keep them beds filled in the Kentucky and whatever state you in, Department of Corrections, man. Real Kids TV. Hopefully you liked the video. If you didn't, fuck you. Feel free to comment, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification anytime I bring you this action and this heat. Guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. I said it once, said it twice, said it 3 times. I'm going to say it again. Free P. Diddy. If you don't like what I say, fuck you. Unsubscribe from my shit. Because it's not about if he did this, if he did that. P. Diddy needs to be punished for putting his hands on women. But this whole extracurricular sex trafficking and this and that and whatever, yeah, fuck out of here, man. And it's not just about P. Diddy. It's just a representation of all the people that get drugged through the system, man. You know what I'm saying? Get drugged through the system, man. If you don't like my channel, you don't like what I say, fuck you.